and welcome to Chronicles of the Wise. My name is Johnson John Rose. This is where we relive some of the best moments. It's where we tell stories that ought to be told and share experiences that uplift. This is where we meet trailblazers, the architects, the pillars of station society. And today we welcome one such architect. She's the lady of culture. She's Marcella Marsdin. Welcome to Chronicles, Marcella Marsdin. It's happy to have you. Yes, we're really pleased to have you here. Start by saying that you're the lady of culture here, so there's a lot to talk about when it comes to culture, isn't there?
Yes, of course.
But let's talk a bit about who you are. Who is Marcella Marsdin?
Well, Marcella Marsdin, who am I?
Yeah, yes. Let's talk about. Let's begin. Where you're from? What part of Statia you're from?
I'm from Statia, born in Statia on the 6th of August 1953. Went to school. My parents, Lawrence and Lucille Marsdin. I have five sisters and 2 brothers. Yeah, that's partly it.
Where do you fit?
Where I fit? I'm the last. I'm the last of 8.
You're the last of 8.
Last of 8.
Usually the last one is the spoiled one.
Well, right. Yeah, sometimes you get what you want and what you need as the last one.
You get away with anything in the family.
That is true. My mother was very particular with me, being that I was the last one, really. But
So growing up, and one of the things I learned about here is especially the people who are from the north. I've never really heard anyone say I'm from the south. I've only heard people say I'm from the north.
North.
So where are you? Which part are you?
I'm in the middle. We were living on what we call now the hospital road. The hospital road. Yes. We were living on that road. Princess Way, we used to call it at that time. And that was the middle. From there, the south, the north. So we were right in the middle of the island. So yeah, we really was not the south. We were just in the middle.
So tell us what it was like growing up as one of 8, the last of 8. What was the sibling rivalries and everything?
Growing up, my days was nice, really. You would say now that not you, maybe Mike, you would say that it was hard days, but to us it was just a normal routine because you compare it now to then, But we had some good days. We can look back, I can look back on and realize that we had wonderful days. We had childhood days, what the young people must say don't have now. We can go outside, in the evening, like especially when I have moonlight. We play games, we all kind of thing, and we never had the apparatus, the technology, and all those things that I have now. So we had a more togetherness. The neighbors would come out, we'd play ball, we play cricket in the yard. They didn't have much what you call cars. They had no cars really, so we'd play in the street. And there were good days. We had to work. It isn't like now that the children get up and just take the school bag and go. I had to get up in the morning, me and my siblings get up in the morning. My father used to wake us up around 4.
So you get somebody to wake up about 4 now.
Yeah, well, he used to wake us up for breakfast. He used to eat before he go to the mountain. He was a farmer. Yeah. And he used to wake us up to get breakfast, and then some of us sometimes during the week, 5 o'clock, we'd go in the mountain with him. I would pick he would pick the bigger potatoes to ship overseas to Curacao and St. Martin, and we would pick up the small little ones and to give to the neighbors. So we had work to do. I had work to do rather before I go to school. And I had to fill a tank of water. When I don't go in the mountain, then I had to fill this tank of water every morning. I had to go to the well next to the water where they make the water now. I had to go to the well to get water. When I finished that, I had to clean the yard. I had to sweep the yard. And the yard is not like now. It was a lot of dirt, a lot of stones. So my growing up days, to me it was good. It was fun because it was not me alone. And then I had to bring water from the hospital. There by the hospital, I had to bring water. I was living next to the Spanish church there right now. And It was good days. It was. I used to like when I bring water. Sometimes they don't want to bring the water. You have to put it on your head. I used to like when the water, wet your clothes and things like that. So now I can look back on and enjoy and say, boy, I had some nice days, some nice growing up days. And my children, my grandchildren, all they know is this. And when I'm telling them about it, they say, boy, Oma, they were hard days. What were you had? Here we had wonderful days.
There's some people who will watch this now and still can't get over this having to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you have to get up.
Yeah. And you did all of this before.
Yeah, before we went to school. And school on time. The children just get up now and take their bags and go to school. The parents put everything in the bag. We had to do all this and it was still on time for school. That was the beauty in it. And I think that our parents taught us too that when we go on the outer world, we can help ourselves. We don't have to depend on you and you to help us. But we are strong to meet the outer world.
I'm fascinated by young girl, very early.
Yeah. My brother, he's here now. They call him. His name is Cyril. We call him Javier. He and my nephew had to get up in the morning early every day, Monday, 200 and 365 days a year. They had to carry about 100 goats and sheep. We are princesses now up here. It was just a wilderness of bush. They bring them up in the morning, go to school, come back, play, do what I have to do, the chores, come back and carry them down in the evening. And they used to get 25 cents every Saturday night. But the 25 cents used to go far because they used to buy sugar cake, chocolate, they used to buy a lot of things, but yeah.
The 25 cents came from your dad?
No, the 25 cents came from a teacher called Minia Bancampo. That big, when you're going down the hospital road on your left-hand side, there's a big upstairs building there. There was a gentleman, he was a school teacher, Minia Carl Bancampo, and he had a lot of goats and sheep, and he used to carry them up 365 days in a year. For 25 cents. Every Saturday night, they would go and collect the 25 cents. Those days, we used to call it 10 stiver. 25 cents, and we used to go by Miss Carrie and cacao, and then we would buy the sugar cake and so.
Yeah. I was saying I'm still fascinated by this young girl waking up early, going into the mountains to do gardening or harvesting. What was it? You harvested? Did you help with the gardening?
No, not only we used to go to the mountain. My mother had a nice garden in front, but in the mountain, my father just planted yam, potatoes, and sort of sent overseas, and we had to help.
Got your hands dirty.
Yes, we had to. And then, being that I was the last, sometimes we had to balance the crook on a donkey. So he would put the yam and the potatoes on one side, and then I had to sit in the crook on the next side to balance. So most time I used to get, and then you had to walk it home. I used to go home.
You got to lift home.
Yeah, on a donkey.
Donkey.
We rode a donkey.
You don't see many of these days. I don't see anyone.
Yeah, they have
moving. You just see a few.
A few, but they still have a lot here still. A lot of donkeys, yeah.
But do you still have people going to the farms and no, I don't see that.
We don't even want to give the donkeys water. They had to carry water. We had to go, we had to go on the mountain. If we had goats, anything, we had to go on the mountain, cut grass, help prepare, bring grass, cut. And growing up too, we had in the morning, in the evening, before I go to sleep, I had to go outside and pick what you used to call it, thatch cracks. To light a fire. We didn't have no stove and all those things called kerosene stove. So we had 3 stones in the yard. And if you don't, and we had a coal pot. So if you don't go outside and get the chip, we used to call them chips, to light the fire in the morning, then you won't get tea, because if it rains at night, then that actually used to help light the fire.
Yeah, did that come from a tree or?
Yeah, they just dried the fire. So I had to do all of that. And it was fun.
So you really learned to be multi-skilled and independent from a very young age,
yes,
did you?
Yeah. And it's not me alone. Our generation, that's how we were.
How do you enjoy as a young child? I don't know, but you think you just want to sleep as late as you possibly can.
Well, it's something because it was a custom. Yeah. That was our custom. We didn't have to go every day, but sometimes twice a week, 3 times a week, we had to wake up early and go to market. We had to help our dad, and that was our only part of income because my mother didn't used to work. So we'll help and then send, and then they will send back the money, and that would help us.
And then you get your 25 cents.
Yeah. Yes, and like the children of today, they want a pair of shoes for $150. They don't things like that. We didn't have that, but we were contented. That was the main thing.
When you say we didn't have,
we didn't have shoes.
You went to school.
We had shoes. One pair of shoes for school, and one pair of shoes for church. We didn't have like my grandchildren got 8 and 9 pairs. No, we didn't have that. That wasn't our. No.
All sorts of trainers. Or
yes, when you come home, you just take off your shoes and that's it. You run outside, no shoes. We used to get a lot of what I call stump toe. The whole head here knock off and so, but that because we didn't have shoes at that time, we get caution, prickles in our feet and all those things. But now that we are grown and we are seniors, now we can look back and say that we had wonderful days in a sense. To you might say it was hard days getting up 4 or 5 o'clock, but that was all we knew in a sense. You would call it, now you call it child abuse. Yes, but in those days we didn't.
Yeah, back then, stump toes were not really very pleasant, but you can look back at it.
Boy, don't I tell you, stump off the whole, especially the big toe. Most time the big toe would go, and then like now you put up plaster or something, it just throw a bit of dirt and so on. I remember one time when I was young, my father got cut with a cutlass. He just take a handful of dirt in. And that was it. Like that. In those days, we scarcely used to go to the doctor.
Today, that would be considered insanity.
No, that's what we used to do that years ago. Yeah, unless you have a fever, like even now, my children would take their children to the doctor for a little bit of cold, and we never go unless the fever keep up on us long. Then the parents would say, well, I have to take you to the doctor. But to say go to the doctor for the cold and the fever and things like that, we use mostly bush.
Bush, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes when we were growing up, we had a lot of boils on our legs. We used to wash them with slippery bush. We would bathe because we never had shower. Most times we would bathe in a bath pan and a bucket, and my mother would put it in the water, and then she would take off the slime, and then we would wash our legs and our hands. We have things like that. So we scarcely really went to the doctor unless it was really, really serious. We drink more bush, herbs, I must say.
So from the perspective of today's youngster, that was a hard life.
Now
from your perspective.
Yes, it was for now. My children, my grandchildren tell me the same thing. Boy, my mama, boy, they were hard days. But now I would say it was hard days. But in those days, it was normal. It was a normal way of living. So it really wasn't. But we had good days. We had days that we used to play in the night. We play games, and so we interact. And what we had years ago, they don't have now, is sharing. Everything now is me. In those days, is my mother get a few potatoes from the country. She carry that to the neighbor, carry over there to the neighbor. Everybody eat.
It was a sense of community.
Yes, it was nice. Now it's not like that. The neighbors, what we have in these days, majority of them is not that way. We live more like a family, even though we weren't family. And that was a good part. I train your children. I was your children, auntie and grandma. And, I remember some time ago when my daughter was going to school, and I tell her she must call a lady, teacher Elreen. She said, but mama, she wasn't my teacher. She not teach. No, but we were taught that way. I didn't call her teacher Elreen or auntie or grandma, but they would come down and say, Master, my mother say. Mr. Johnson, my mother say. No, that wasn't in our day. And when we do that, the lady would just hold it, and then we remember. And then we would say that. And then our children too, when we were small, my mother would give us things to eat. And she would say, this is a piece of bread, and she would give it to us. And as a child, you remembering to say thanks all the time. And after then you remember, she has said, thanks, Mammy. But now these children, young, they get in the bread and get it. You say thanks. If you don't say thanks, that's it. And that is a difference from then to now, because we were really,
disciplined.
Yeah, we were disciplined. That's the word. We were disciplined. Well, I mean, how parents now try their best, but in those days it was a must. You couldn't pass a grown-up on the road without saying good morning, good afternoon. You had to say that. But now they're passing you and they're just watching you and they could say, they don't care who they are. They just say what I have to say.
There are one or two things that interest me. I was having a conversation with our camera person, whose name we shall not call, Mikey, the other day. And we were talking about traditions and cultures and so on, and I will delve into that a little bit later. But we're talking about people who were not your parents disciplining you.
Yes.
If you do something that they don't like out
I
on
had
the street
enough of
or
that.
something.
Before I reach home.
Yeah.
The news and that. Before I reach home, my mother already know about it. She knows about it. And they could discipline you down the street, and you get licks from there, you get licks when you reach home too. Now we call it abuse, but we were well trained. It was, yeah. Even now I would say, well, I don't like Mikey. Mikey used to give me a lot of licks when I was small and whatnot. But it was for the good. It was for the younger generation, I would say, that was abuse, but you are well trained, you know.
Yeah. So you're walking down the street, you're still a young child, and you didn't say good morning or good afternoon or whatever it is, or greet someone who is elder. That person smacks you a bit, and you dare not go home and tell your mom because
you get a rest.
she smacks you as well.
Yeah, you know. And going to school, though, in those days was different to now. You had to listen to what the teacher say, and they would call your parents, talk to you. But before we go to school, my parents used to, my mother rather, used to tell us that, make sure the teachers already learn. They don't learn already, you understand? You have to learn. And if you're not bright to be a doctor, lawyer, and you're slow, and you're rude to the teacher and whatnot, the teacher really might, it's not right, but the teacher don't have that interest in you because you're just rude. But if you're not that bright and see that you're well behaved and what, my mother used to tell me that, you know, make sure behave yourself, you know, listen to the teacher. Now the parents going down is a different story, you know, but in those days you seldom see a parents go down to a teacher, you know, and things like that. But
talk to us a bit about what it was like, the relationship between, as you said, you as the pupil and your teachers back then.
Well, I had good teachers. I had one teacher I really didn't like a lot. He was Hillebrand. He used to do us bad in a sense that he would take our school books and throw them over our head, and then we had to go in and pick them up, and then he would put us in a dustpan to stand up with books in our hands and so on. You know, but otherwise the teachers that we had in those days were nice teachers. Teacher Gatti, Mene Bancampa, the one Leontine Father. They had a lot of teachers, good teachers in our days. They were nice teachers, and not from my school alone, because I used to go to government gas school. They had Miss Paula from the Catholic school and all. They was the nuns. They were very nice.
Which one was your favorite? Which one do
Teacher
you
Gatti.
remember today? Why?
Teacher Gatti, Mene Dennis, they were nice. They were more, all of them was good really, but they were more, you could relate to them more better, you know. Mene Dennis, yes, he had a little basin on the side of the wall, and he used to put a tam whip in it. And when you don't behave, he'd take the tam and he would whip you, but still he was good in school, you know. He taught you well, you know, manners, everything. Teacher Gatti, the same thing. You know, they were my two favorite teachers in school, really, really not bad. Yeah.
Which, if any, or who, and I'm going to broaden it, I'm not going to limit it to the teachers, but to anyone in the community, do you think had the greatest influence on your life as you progressed?
From growing up?
Yes.
My godmother, Miss Patrick. She was my godmother. She was a nurse at the hospital for umpteen years. And things that I couldn't talk to my mother in those days, I could have gone, you know, go to my godmother and sit down and talk with her, explain to her, and she would explain to me things like that. And that is one thing I didn't pass on to my children. I passed on to the children the good things, the good values my mother taught me. And I taught them that what you need to know, you must ask me, than to hear it out there on the road, because you hear it wrong. Most times it's the wrong way out there. And you should be a mother and also a friend that they could come to you and talk to you. You know? But my godmother, she was a real nice godmother in one way, and also she was like a mother to me. And then I had another lady, my neighbor, Elaine Leifrock. She was, bless her dear heart, she was a real nice lady, nice neighbor. Really nice, really nice. Those neighbors they were neighbors. They look out for our well-being. And You'll never forget him. I'll never forget my neighbors. Never.
It used to be that, you know, your godparents were seen as the second parents, weren't they, back then? What was it like? And do you see any sort of similarities today as compared to then?
Growing up, our godparents years ago were there as a mother, second mother, when your mother couldn't do. But now the godparents would have, in my time, let's say in the when our 50s and 40s coming up, it's like, I'm going to make sure I take Mikey, because Mikey have a little more. So when the child want a pair of shoes or want this, I can send them to Mikey. But in those days, our parents used to look for persons who really can help us along the Christian pathway, tell us about the facts of life and things like that. And I had that with my godmother. She was very strict, really, but on the other hand, she was very good.
We're 20 minutes into this conversation and we haven't even talked about culture yet. And it's so fascinating. It doesn't feel like we're 20 minutes into this conversation yet.
Yeah.
So you've grown up, gone to school, and somewhere along the way you decided what you're going to do with your life, where you're going to go. What was that moment, and why did you choose to go the way you went?
Well, let's say I started working from young. From 16 years, I started working for the government. In those days, it wasn't like now, you know. Started working for the post office. And then after 9 years, I got married, and it was land and island and central. Sorry, island and central.
Yeah.
So in those days when you get married, you couldn't work. They used to stop you from working. So I spent 6 months home.
So you were married quite young?
No, I married when I was 25.
25?
Yeah.
Right.
And I spent 9 years in the post office, and after I got married, then 6 months I stayed home, and then I got another job with the finance department. The finance department, I worked there for maybe 22 years, and then the rest years I worked by the culture department, and I sorry I didn't start there from first. It's part of me, it's something that I love. It's something that I worked for the government 45 years. I wish all the 45 years about the culture department. You have so much to learn from there. And what I learned a lot from the culture department is from our ancestors. And maybe that is why right now I have a foundation, Senior Citizens Foundation, is from that. I have a passion for the seniors, for the culture of station, for the culture to move on. You have to sit with your seniors and learn from them, because if you can't learn, you don't learn from them, then our culture will die, because this is where it would move on from there, from our parents.
I need to get into this culture thing now. We started this by saying you're known as the Lady of Culture.
DJ Betty from the radio station.
Yes.
She gave me that name. She would always say the Lady of Culture coming to say something. And from there, over the years, it remained with me.
Well earned, I would think.
Yeah, I think so.
From everything I've heard. So we're interested in why you became the Lady of Culture. What is it that drew you to that and motivated you to do what you did?
Because I realized that the culture of station is going down, it's dwindling. I know that certain things that we did years ago, you cannot do now. But I have certain things you have to keep as your culture. And if you don't do that and pass it on to the next generation, then it's going to die. And that is a passion I have for our culture. I go on Facebook and I would say, well, okay, that's true, but when it comes wrong, when anybody says anything about culture, then you'll see me right. You know, but otherwise, other things really ain't interesting to me. But the culture of station has gone way, way down the drain. Take, for instance, Easter Monday, Easter weekend. My parents, my mother mostly, my father used to mostly go on the mountain. My mother would wake up, my brother and my nephew, and send them down on the bay, let's say 4:30, 5 o'clock, to get a space on the bay to sit and have a good time. In those days, from the Kingswell, when you turn the corner to go up, from the Kingswell all the way up, we would eat all the way up. You don't have to pay for nothing. That was our culture, and didn't have to ask. From time you pass, you want some donut, you want this, they're always there to give and give. Now it's like everybody's selling. I can't get nothing free. A few years ago when I was working in the culture department, Mr. Roy Hooker, I turned to him, he was a commissioner, then I said, Mr. Hooker, our culture is going down the drain. Everything is so modernized, everything is money, money, money. I could understand if the churches want to, do all the food, saying, yes, I can understand that. But you couldn't get nothing down there, nothing free. And he really, that year, he really said that only the churches, mostly it would be the Methodist church, only that church the churches could sell, get to commercial. So it take away from our culture, the things that we used to do, and, it just gone down, and a lot of things that you look back on, you realize that our culture is just dwindling.
So I'd like to, look at various segments of the culture. So let's begin with food, because you've mentioned that.
Yeah.
How was it? I'd like to think that culture is something that evolves. It can't be stagnant. It has to evolve,
yes.
Other things, but it ought not be replaced.
No, of course not.
So how has our culture with food evolved? Where was it when you were growing up?
Well, first let me say our cultural dish is pigeon peas and rice, a fresh pigeon peas and rice, goat meat, and a slice of sweet potato. That's our culture dish. But we were up on saltfish, pig snook, and those were the cheap things now, especially saltfish comes so expensive, you can scarcely afford it. So we had a big puncture tree, and Mikey knows about it, a big puncture tree in the yard, and we didn't have no big elaborated house like we have now. So my mother would give us the food, and then we go under the tree. And when we see folks that are a little more higher than us, have a little more money than us come in, we would run. Because we don't want them to see us eating saltfish and rice. That was our food, potato and yam and pig snook and things like that. We didn't have, only take for instance Sunday, we would get egg. We get egg in our bread and things like that. But during the week, sometimes we just put some butter. Not even table butter, like pot butter, the yellow butter. Put in the bread, some bush tea. When we go to school, we get milk and bread, things like that. But to say all this, no, we had more like ground food, provision. We were upon that. We didn't have all this potato salad. Like my mother, in those days, it wasn't my mother alone, a lot of us, we would wait for the chicken to drop an egg. And my mother would say, go across by a lady named Stella Hayes. She was our kindergarten teacher. And well, a teacher, but she used to give out the bread and milk. And she used to sell bread. And when she foul dropped the egg, I would go across. I was the smallest, so I always had to go. And I would give her the egg, and she would give me maybe 2 or 3 style of bread for the egg. And those were the days we were paying the food. So we never could eat like 2 things. Like I get up in the morning, my mother would give us banana, and I give my children banana, maybe an orange, this, that. No. Many days it's just something. We open a bread like this, not even with a knife. We throw a bit of sugar on it. We eat it with some bush tea. We are off to school. But we were thankful. We were thankful for what we had. The children these days, even my grandchildren, Oma, I don't want this. Oma, I don't want this. Yeah, but in my days, my mother said, if you don't want it, you leave it. That's it. We had no choice. And we had to eat it. But it was us. We don't know what to say. We are well.
You talked about ground foods. And the chicken laying the egg, and you picking it up. I'm just visualizing. I'm just visualizing this. I think today they call it organic.
Organic, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, chicken. We had to eat the chicken from the yard. Now, if I give you chicken from the yard, maybe you'll say, no, I don't want a chicken because you got to cook it a little longer. But it's the best. So we usually had chicken and those things. That's all we had: chicken, saltfish, and mackerel, those kind of things. So, and then yam and potato, dumpling, cornmeal. We seldom had rice. We were upon that. It was better because it was ground food. It didn't have so much chemicals and things like that. Like my mother would send me to the shop to buy, let's say, pig snook, pig tail. And then when we come home, we didn't have a fridge. So we would just hang it in the kitchen salt it a lot and just leave it hang there. Today we would say, boy, that's an, oh, I wouldn't eat that. Nah. But look us today. Some of my parents, they were 89, 90. Some of them lady down in auxiliary home, 104. That's all they knew. And we are healthy now. Like if we were small, sweet fall on the ground, we just take it up. If we eat the sweet, now when it falls, don't eat it, you take the sweet, you throw it away. We couldn't do that. We didn't have
Didn't have this luxury.
I had an interview one time on the radio with Woodley, about Early Woodley and his brother, and that was the best interview I ever had. I just interviewed the old time one. And he told me his father he told her on the air, his father would go to the shop, down the farm and shop for all of them, and when he come home, he'd bring us sweet as usual sweets. Then he would take one sweet and cut it in two. Each child get half, but they were contented. You cut a sweet now in a half, give it to the child ain't want it, they want a whole sweet. But we were contented. That was the main thing. We were contented in life.
Do you think that what you ate back then, all of this, what we now call organic, free of chemicals and all of that, grown locally, ground foods, chicken, eggs that are, fresh, no steroids, none of that sort of stuff. Do you think that practice, along with having to wake up early in the morning and go to the farm and carry all this stuff, that it made you stronger, both physically and mentally?
Yeah, of course. And years ago, you never hear about all these sicknesses, the different sicknesses that people have in their bodies. And when you look after it, it's from all the chemicals we are eating. So when you look after the generation now they have the scarcity can reach 50. Some of them die young, and when you look back over this, the generation had gone. They live all to the 80s, the 100. They live a long life, and that's because the food that we had. Now I don't eat those now because you can't get those fresh things now. But those what they had years ago. That is what kept our parents to live that long, and we should get back to it, but in the next station, you're going to have that really, you'll have to really grow a lot of, yam, potato. The young people not going to do that. But it's the best for our body.
Yeah. And so that's one aspect of our culture you think that has
gone down the drain.
Gone down. So it's not evolved,
no,
it's changed, it's replaced, if you may, by something foreign. It's something foreign. Music.
Yeah, what I was about music, I can say a lot about music, but our music was more the string band. The string band, and we had steel bands, and that is one of the, that is one factor that gone down, culture that gone down the drain. The steel band, I had a steel band with ladies, the oldest of them was 70-something, all ladies, we played for the Queen, we played for this and that, we were wedding, so. And it used to be made here by Buck, but because I had to Trinidad so often, I tried my best for the last 5 years. I worked on a project and I sent it to Trinidad. We have pans right now, chrome pans, but it's a place to put them to practice. I didn't buy the pans, steel pans for me. I'm 70 years. I didn't buy them. I bought them for the generation, for the younger generation, so that our culture can go on. So more than once, my daughter would say, Were you harassing yourself? You can't get nowhere. 5 years trying to get those pans from Trinidad here, trying to get money, this, that, just to keep the... I could have said, man, I done all already. I harassing my head. But the culture, I find certain cultures must remain. And that was what I fought for 4 or 5 years. They came in April. They're sitting there because we cannot get nowhere to practice.
Let me say that I've already interviewed your brother, Javier.
Oh, you know Javier?
Yes, I've already interviewed him. Well, that's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. The interview with him would likely air after yours. But I'm hearing some of the same things from you, the curing of meats and fish and stuff, because we had no fridges back then, refrigeration. The steel band that was part, and he played it as well. So that's something else. But in terms of, well, you had the string music, you said. But music has evolved. It's different now. It's a lot of pre-programmed
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, you just press that button. When I was working in the culture department, it had a teacher here, a Majan from the Philippines, and we took all the instruments that we knew that could have played here. We took them into the schools to get the children involved, to get them interested with steel band, the guitar, the bass, the trumpet, everything. We took all the instruments, all who could play. And the children was really excited. This one wanted to play that one, that one. I said, okay, that's good. Now, to get those instruments, it costs money. So after the children from the different schools, we wrote a letter and tell the parents, well, let's say the trumpet costs $20, this one costs, so you'll have to pay. Then they start, well, I don't have the money, and this, like that. So I asked the government, if they could, those who are working for the government, if they can purchase the instruments and then every month, take out a little something. So it just went down the drain like that. It just, and it has pained my heart really to see that. But when it comes around a phone, then they would buy a phone for a child for $200-300.
$200-300
maybe 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
the younger ones don't want that
$200-300 phone
the younger
days.
ones don't want that kind of phone what I would buy. I would buy one for $2-3, but they mind that. They want that. But you're not interested to let the children learn a music, to actually buy an instrument for the child to learn to play music. So a lot of our tradition, a lot of our culture gone down the drain. And we have to blame ourselves. Because if I don't pass on my culture to my children and my grandchildren, and you don't pass it on, then eventually all we're going to have is the modern things. You press a button, a music player, do this. That's how it's going to be. But I personally find certain things, culture must remain. You are like all, but then another generation changing too. But you have to keep something. You have to keep your culture alive. You have nothing.
Some people will watch this and listen to you say this and say, this is old-fashioned.
Yeah,
don't you want us to progress?
Yeah.
Don't you want us to progress?
Yes,
do
yes,
you
we
want us
want to progress.
Stagnant?
Yes, I want Statia to progress. I want the culture to progress. So we want everything to move on. But at the same time, we have to know where we come from. Where I came from, what my mother used to do, what my grandmother used to do. You need to instill these things in your children. Either then they'll never talk about it. They wouldn't know where we came from. I know. But it's sad. It has hurt me a lot. My children always tell me, worry yourself about.
And if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going.
You don't know where you're going. It's a lot of the culture really gone down. And the children 2 years ago, we had to work. You just didn't have to get up, come home, sit down, watch TV, play. We had to work to get some money to do certain things. But the children now, like take for instance the roads. I know it wouldn't happen now because everything is thin, but we had to pound stones to make the roads, and they sell a little bucket for maybe a 5 gilla, I think in those days, or 2 gillas. But I used to be on a big pile of stones just pointing to make the roads in Statia. Yes, you're not going to do that now. But if we practice our children to go out there, buy a weed eater, go out there. I had 4. I used to take them on vacation, but I had to work. Look, you'd like to come here? Okay, you come here. The other one, she's a school teacher in the school. She's a cook. She wants to cook on a Saturday nights. She'll make her little snacks. I would go around in a car. Because each of them, the boys had to go mama job, I used to call it. They had to do something. And when we reach it, ready to go on vacation, that you don't have enough money, then we put a rest. But you're just giving them everything on a golden platter. Then they don't have no kind of, I don't know.
Are you concerned that we are drifting into this dystopian Orwellian territory where George Orwell wrote, the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history? Are you concerned that, that we're importing so much that the foreign cultures, mostly the US, are obliterating ours, so denying who we are?
Our culture is going on because they're bringing in too much of the foreign cultures. Yes, of course, we have the different nationalities here. Of course, they will bring their culture. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to do, the government must find some way to continue certain cultures. Either then we wouldn't, when the next 10, 20 years from now, we'll just have foreign cultures.
We become somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else. Yeah. And that is really, I would be off the scene, I'll be maybe dead and gone. But then you're trying to plant a seed in at least 1 or 2 or 3, you had to see that when you're gone off the scene, somebody would take it up and run with the mantle, and you know. But the younger generation is very hard. They just want to press a button, do everything.
But if we are being, almost brainwashed by the outside culture, the penetration, whether it's via the internet or used to be cable TV, which you don't have anymore, but there is YouTube, there is the whole
everything.
lot. So everything that you see and adopt is from the United States, for example, from the other world, mostly from the States. Do you now no longer become a Caribbean person, a station person, a Caribbean person?
And it's sad. It's sad.
So this is where you're no longer obliterated. Yeah. You've destroyed
your culture,
who you are.
Yeah, that is true. It really hurts me a lot of times. Most time when I sit down, I would always talk about that, but I'm only one person. I can go to the government, and not this government alone. I'm speaking about all the other governments. And sometimes you talk, you just, they take the papers and put them under the table and in a drawer. And it's a good idea. It's always a good idea. But a good idea can't sit in a drawer. It can't sit there. You have to work on it. Look how since April we are working on the steel bands. We had a place up there. We used to play the steel band practice. They took it from us. They give it to the radio station. Well, if the radio station not using it, that big room, then they can give it back to us, but they still look at the gentleman, they have things in it and whatnot. But if you want the children to learn, where are they going to learn? We don't have no space for them. No place to put those bands, and they just sit in there in Adventist old church. It just sits there. And it's a pity because you pay over about 30,000 because those chrome pans are very expensive. You just have them there.
And we haven't talked about dress yet.
Dress. Yeah, the dress code was different in those days. Well, I wouldn't say it was different in a sense that I would never condemn a child put on a short pants. I used to put on a short pants, but the boys in those days were different than now. It was different because I used to have pictures of short pants, my boots, things like that. When you reach a certain age, those things have to, you drop them. But the dress code was a lot different. We go to church, we couldn't go to church with no back out and no sleeves, and we were well dressed.
You're modernized now.
Now they're modernized. They go with pants, they go with back out, they go with one sleeve, they go with... that's every man to his own order. But the dress code really changed a lot, but...
I am inching towards what all you've done for culture from where you were. So I want to go to Statia Day.
Statia Day? Boy. Yeah. It was different. It was nice. To me, it was nice. It was Statia Day. Most of the things was from Statia. We did things from Statia. Now they have it like you can bring in bands, you could bring in this. Nothing wrong in bringing in one or two, but the most thing must be from Statia. We have enough, what you call it, movie stars, I must say, those, who does play the bands and this and that. We have enough of them here on the island. We have enough singers, we have enough dancers to keep Statia Day for us, not to bring in all these, but that is my opinion. Yes, as I said, you can bring in other folks. Yes, you can bring them in, but keep it more local. That is Statia Day. It was more different in those days. It was different, completely different. But they used to have it different, the activities. They don't do it so much no more. How you call it? The boat shooting, how you call it?
The salute.
A salute to the flag and all those things. Now and then they just bring it in. And it used to be different. It would have a person, Boompy would be in a coffin, and when they're going down, Boompy would run out. Those were the really, they drift a long way from Statia Day. It's more...
But you will agree, and we established up front, that culture is dynamic.
Yeah,
and the various elements who come in will help make your culture richer, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course,
if you've got an infusion from different parts,
but at the same time, you try whole year. Yeah, you got to. It really does bother me a lot. But what can I do? Yeah, you go to everyone, but yeah. And that is why too, I started a foundation for the seniors also. It's because I realized that when you finish work, like me, you go home, you get up in the morning, you cook, you clean, and then that's it. All the children big, they live on their own, nobody to dirty your house. So to keep the seniors busy, to get them involved, I wish I could have get more money so I could have more activities for them. But I'm still thankful, for, for what we have, and they really enjoy themselves. And so that's why I started the foundation. And to sit with them and talk, you could hear them talk about their days gone by. Most of them that I had, some of them died out. They were real cultural ladies, But I'm a die-hard culture lady.
Yeah, the lady of culture. The lady of culture.
Yeah, I love my culture.
What do you think of carnival?
Carnival came. Did I say carnival is our culture? It's not really our culture. It came on in the after. But as I said before, certain things you have to move on. Carnival is not bad, but anyway, let me go on.
Let's go.
Carnival years ago was more on a different level.
Right.
It's not down, I really can't say that, but years ago they were more, they dress different. We dress, we have carnival like the other places. We dress like the outer world. You don't have to. So, yeah. I don't want to go there. It's nothing wrong in carnival, but it's what come out of carnival, what you want to portray. I could just jump up and put on a little short pants, a little G-string or a little something, and I go on carnival, that's carnival. What are you portraying? What am I going to portray? You're going to do something from years ago, you're going to put on a whatever costume, something like that.
You seemed reluctant to talk about everything you did when you worked in the Department of Culture. But I have to get there.
With the carnival?
No, well, just everything.
Everything. Well, the carnival wasn't on the...
Right. But everything. So your own contribution to culture in Statia as an employee, because you said you wished your entire working career were at culture.
Take for instance the 1st of July. The 30th of July, I usually take some children, pick the July trees. That's part of our culture. And 10 o'clock the night, we put them on the gate. Try as much as possible, put them on the gates, and then 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we go around with a big drum, wishing everybody happy July Day. What the old folks, senior citizens from the past used to do. That's one of our culture that really was down. To celebrate July.
That way, I'd never heard the July tree. I'd never heard of July tree until I was here and I was talking to somebody and said the July tree, and I was like, "What's the July tree?" I realized, well, I knew it all along. I just knew it by a different name.
It really is a flamboyant tree.
That's
but we
right.
got July because it blew more on July, and then like, from our ancestors, they would pick the July tree, decorate the gate, the houses, and so. July 3, that's when the emancipation and whatnot. So I still continue it. So I take a few children and we pick them, then at night we go around and put them on the gates, and then 12 o'clock we go singing happy July Day, and we have big drums and all kind of thing. And yeah, we just wake up the folks. This is, yeah. Yes.
For you as someone who worked in culture, who did so much, what's the significance to you when the 1st of July comes around? How significant is it to you?
Right.
What does it mean for somebody like you?
That was a day of freedom, in a sense. And it means a lot to me in a sense that I look forward to the 1st of July, knowing what our ancestors passed through and where we are today now. And that is why we should really celebrate it in grand style. Because it wasn't easy for them. We still have it easier now. But because of them, we are here today and we can celebrate it. And always now it's the start to really, it's like a holiday. Now they start to build and build, which is good. But years ago, it was just dominant. But we're making a little progress. And it's going a long way now, But,
What do you consider your greatest achievement in culture?
Boy, so many.
Gosh, go ahead.
My greatest achievement really is I tried my best, that's all I can say. I tried my best, I did my best to bring the culture, to keep Statia culture alive. 1st of July, we go serenading Christmas morning, go around to the different homes, Christmas morning, sometimes we go by the different villages, we sing, we go by somebody's porch, and we just sit and we sing the Christmas carols. Boy, so many things, you know. I think I have about 9. Actually, I wear 9 caps, I'll say, to try to keep the culture alive. But one of my hats is Christmas. I like to go around singing the Christmas carols and things like that. And yeah, Christmas in July. Easter, yeah, a lot of them. All I must say, I try to do my best. I tried my best to keep Statia culture alive. I can only do that. And I can only leave it to those that are there and those that would come behind. I know maybe things would change, yes, because of the different generation. But at least certain things I would like them keep as our culture.
If there is one thing that you could save, one aspect of your culture that you could save, which would it be?
Oh, boy. You know, the culture what I would like to save is the togetherness. That's
community.
The community, the togetherness we don't have. We don't have that.
That goes back to your years growing up,
doesn't
it?
Yeah. The friendliness, my neighbors, I give, you give. I don't have to give you to get back, but because of the love for our neighbors, the love for our community. Good morning, good afternoon. You can correct my child and just not say, I didn't put you to watch my child and you got your children. No. That is one of the things I would love to see come back in our community. The children will just pass you and don't hail and something. They just, young children will just cuss a bad word there and they see you. It's nothing to them. That part of the culture gone. And that is one I would like to see come back. I have a nice neighbor. Me and my neighbor, Gwendolyn Arnold, we live like the old-time neighbors. God bless her dear heart. Really nice neighbor. Yeah. I think it has to come from here. Just saying it and telling you to do it, it's a big difference. If you don't have that love for your culture in here, it can't go on. Can't. You'll do it, yes, but you won't have that zeal, you don't have that joy in doing it. You must have that joy to keep your culture alive. And eventually, it's gone. It will be gone. And I pray and I hope that whoever come behind me, that they will try their best to keep Statia culture alive. Yes, we're going to get other cultures come in, but never let their culture come above ours. We must always fight to keep our culture alive.
Well, what a way to end it. Thank you so very much, Marcella Marsdin here. And, thank you. And we're hoping that the culture will continue to prevail and everything can be done. We've agreed, as I said up front, that it is a dynamic thing. It will evolve, but it shouldn't be replaced.
That's true.
It should not be replaced. Well, that's the program for today. Over joining us next time. It's an invitation for you to join us next time because we've got so many compelling stories that we want to share. These really great stories from Statia, some of the most wonderful people, our trailblazers, as we said, the architects and sometimes the pillars of our societies, the most riveting and wisest people that we've got. Until then, on behalf of GIS Statia, it's goodbye.